Stop scrolling. Have you ever wondered why you feel different? Why the bond you longed for with your mother never fully materialized? Do you think it's just a coincidence that you were separated from her, emotionally or physically? No, it's not random. You are here for a reason. Your separation wasn't an accident. It was a deliberate act, designed by the Creator for a purpose far greater than you may currently understand. You may have felt the sting of isolation, the cold distance, the longing for the kind of bond that others have with their mothers. Yet every moment of absence was never a sign of abandonment. It was God's way of preparing you for something extraordinary. Through this separation, you were being honed. The pain you experienced was not meaningless. It was part of your divine preparation for a higher calling, one that requires strength, resilience, and a relationship with God like no other. From the very beginning, when others found comfort in the embrace of their mothers, you may have found yourself standing apart, wondering why your journey didn't mirror the paths of others. The ache of isolation might have made you question your worth, your place in the world, and even in God's eyes. But what if that pain was not a punishment, but a calling to something greater? God, in His infinite wisdom, separated you not to deny you love, but to set you apart for a love far greater than anything this world could offer. In the absence you felt, God spoke to you more clearly, more forcefully. This was not a time to seek validation from earthly relationships. Instead, God was calling you to find your worth in Him alone, to discover a love that does not fail, a love that is perfect in every way, and one that can never be taken away. Your path was never meant to be like everyone else's. You were not created to conform to the expectations of the world. God had a different destiny for you. The isolation, the emotional distance, the loneliness, it wasn't weakness, it was strength building. God's hand was shaping you in ways that could only be revealed through such separation. Like a warrior in the wilderness, stripped of comforts and attachments, you are being trained for a mission that requires a different kind of strength, a strength that does not rely on the approval of others, but on the power and purpose of God Himself. The separation you've faced has been your spiritual forge, your time of preparation. You might have longed for a connection, a bond with your mother, but that void was not meant to be filled by her. It was a void that only God could fill, a space that would allow Him to mold you into the person you were always meant to become. God had to remove you from earthly attachments so that you could rely fully on Him, so you could be free to walk the path He designed for you. Each conflict, each painful moment has been a lesson. You've been sharpened through the fiercest of battles with your mother, struggles in relationships, emotional sabotage that made you question your worth. Yet, none of these struggles were random. They were intentional, part of a divine plan that was shaping you for something beyond the ordinary. Through these trials, you've gained armor, strength, resilience, and an understanding of your true worth that others do not have. God never intended for you to rely on your mother for your identity. The toxicity, the criticism, the emotional wounds, they were never meant to define you. They were simply tools used by God to show you that your true worth comes from Him alone. You were not meant to find your identity in anyone other than your Creator. In every moment where you sought your mother's approval and were denied, God was teaching you to seek Him first. Your value is not determined by the world's standards or by the approval of others. It is rooted in your relationship with God, and through your separation, He has made sure you understand that at your core. While others may be tethered by unhealthy family dynamics, God has given you the freedom to walk a different path. You were never meant to be bound by the same emotional chains that hold others back. Your separation from your family, especially from your mother, is a clear sign that you are called to something greater, something extraordinary. It is not a punishment. It is part of your divine purpose. Your journey may have been lonely, and the distance from your family might have been painful. But know this, it was never meant to leave you abandoned. Rather, it was designed to propel you toward God, to push you into a deeper relationship with Him, and to prepare you for the purpose He has set before you. In every moment of pain, every tear, every lonely hour, God has been shaping you for something greater. He has been refining you, like gold in the fire, so that you can rise above the limitations of earthly relationships and step into the fullness of your calling. The Bible tells us in Luke 12, verses 51 to 53, that Jesus did not come to bring peace, but division. Just as Jesus was misunderstood by his own family, you too have been called to a path that will often create a rift between you and those you love. This division is not a mistake. It is God's divine plan. It is the space where his voice becomes clearer, where his purpose for you becomes undeniable. The separation from your mother, the emotional rift, is not a sign of failure. It is evidence that God has set you apart for something greater. He is calling you to a mission that transcends familial bonds and human understanding. Like Jesus, you may have experienced the pain of being misunderstood by those closest to you. But remember, this misunderstanding is part of the process. It is the very reason why God has pulled you away from the expectations of your family and the world. Your mission requires a different kind of strength, one that is not dependent on approval or earthly attachments. You are not chosen for an easy path. God's love for you is too fierce to allow you to remain confined to earthly relationships that would hinder your ascent into your divine purpose. The struggles you've faced, whether emotional sabotage, toxic criticism, or the ache of separation, have not been designed to break you. They've been shaping you into someone who can withstand the trials ahead. Through every tear, every hardship, God has been building you into a warrior, a survivor, someone who can rise above the limitations of the world and walk boldly into the calling he has set before you. In your loneliness, in your isolation, you have found God. And in finding him, you have found a strength that others cannot understand. The wounds you've endured have become weapons in your hands, and your trials have been transformed into triumphs. Now, as you stand in the strength of who you are in Christ, you are ready to embrace the purpose that has been waiting for you all along. You were chosen. Your separation was not a punishment. It was preparation. Every moment of distance, every moment of heartache has been a divine act of refinement. God has shaped you for greatness, and the path before you is one that only you are meant to walk. Trust in his purpose and know that the division, the separation, was never meant to break you. It was meant to build you into the person you were always meant to be. Now, step into your calling, for you're no longer bound by the chains of earthly expectations. You are free to rise above, to embrace your divine purpose, and to walk boldly into the future that God has prepared for you.